XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And on the gold spot, we have an interesting situation going on here where price action is currently oscillating within a tight range of about $7 range at this point in time and since the beginning of this week. Well, gold grapples to gain momentum during the Asian session with market participants in anticipation of the upcoming US Consumer Price Index, which is of course coming up tomorrow for potential market direction. And of course, it is understandable that when we anticipate such high impactful event like this, we expect price to fall into an indecisive phase. However, from a technical standpoint, let's look at what is really going on in this market from a technical standpoint before we delve into this decision we are going to be making for today. And to do this, we want to scale up into the higher time frame. Let's see what is really going on in this market. Now, for those of you who have been with us in the last couple of weeks now, you'll be very well familiar with this current market structure you are seeing on the daily time frame, as this has not really changed at all. And the most significant factor here on the daily time frame is that descending trend line that has been holding bearish momentum since the month of May of this year. And if you remember vividly, we saw this interesting impulsive move that started at the beginning of the month of October, breaking out of that descending trend line. And as soon as price tested the $2010 area, remember we identified this zone as a very strong selling niche, as you will see how as soon as buyers got into this area, we saw how sellers jumped in to negate every of their attempts. Now, immediately price tested the $2010 area that was a couple of weeks ago, we begin to notice some selling pressure resume. And for me, I want to consider this as the beginning of a retracement phase on the GBP, on the XAUUSD. And psychologically, of course, when people buy an asset at a very cheap price, let's say around the 1,810 or depending, maybe the 1,900, we expect at some point in time there could be some profit taking activities which would reflect on the chart as a retracement move. Now, the question going into the new week is how far will this retracement phase go? How far will it go? How long will it go before the next uptrend move happens? Now, if we consider the technical expectations after a breakout of a key structure as this, we expect at some point in time price may come back to retest the structure, that is the trend line, and interestingly, that trend line shares a confluence with a demand zone, an area that has a memory for buying power. So will price get this far before another wave of bullish momentum will happen? That's one question we want to be answering this week. Or is price going to start the bullish momentum from this 1,945 level, which happens to be my key level for this week? Now, you will see what happened here last week, Friday. Price action came into that area and closed around the 1,945. And if we go to as far back as the month of March, you see how the 1,945 had played a major role in determining the direction of price action, as you will see here. So for this week, we are going to be using the 1,945 level as our key level. Now, you know how we use our key levels in this community. As long as price remains below the key level, we look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of selling. But if price at any point in time breaks out of our key level, we begin to look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying. So the question now is, will buy pressure resume here to incite an uptrend, or are we going to be seeing a retracement back down into the 1,900 area? Now, to guide our trading decisions for this week, I had a simple setup identified on the 4 hours time frame. Now, on the 4 hours time frame, what I did here was to take into consideration the nature of price action in the last 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks now, I think. And if you do that appropriately, you will see how the 1940, just right below that key level, has been a strong buying niche in this market. So look at what happened here during the second week of the month of October. We saw buy pressure taking price to the upside, and in the last couple of weeks price is back into that area, and in fact we have some consolidation phase going around that area. So at this point everything is looking is screaming bullish at this point, where I want to be seeing a breakout of the 1945 to incite an uptrend scenario, and the only condition that will make us sell is the breakdown of the 1930, maybe into the 1900 area. Now, in addition to all these observation we've just projected here, is another interesting uptrend continuation pattern which I was able to spot on this 4 hours time frame. Now, if we take a closer look at the structure, after considering the impulsive move that brought us into this point, I'm beginning to see a pattern here that looks more like a wedge, or you can call it a flag pattern, depending on the perspective you are looking at this from. And of course, if you look at this closely, theoretically, it is expected to be an uptrend continuation pattern where the breakout of the resistance line of that pattern will be welcoming the buy opportunity. Now, look at what is going on here. The 1945 level, which happens to be our key level for this week, is coincidentally sharing a confluence with the resistance line of that pattern. So for me, if price will break out of this pattern, I want to be joining a bullish momentum here. Now that price is within this demand zone at this point, let's scale down into the 1 hour time frame so we can see how participant in the market has been reacting to this current structure, especially when price is within a strong area that has a memory for buying power. Now scaling down into the 1 hour time frame, we begin to see things more clearly, and in fact it's quite clear here that we have an indecision phase going on right now, as price action has been confined within the range of the $1,941.50 level and the 1934 area, to emphasize the level of uncertainty going on in this market. And of course, you know how we treat our flat channels. We exercise patience and wait for either the breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line here to give us an opportunity to sell. And if we consider the structures we identified on the higher time frame, which all of them were aligning with the idea of buying this asset, I want to be placing a buy stop order above the $1,941.50 level to capitalize on the uptrend situation here. And if price continues to climb to the upside, breaking out of our key level at the 1945, which I made mention earlier, also shares a confluence with the resistance line of that uptrend continuation pattern, we want to be adding more buy position to our existing trade. So that is how we are going to be capitalizing on a buy opportunity here. And in addition to that one is the potential reversal setup here after considering the impulsive move that brought us into this point and the inability of sellers to break through the 1934 could incite a situation where price transitions into a reversal pattern where the $1,941.50 level would turn out to be the neckline to incite uptrend situations here. So I'm holding on to a bullish bias on the XAUUSD. However, you know how we do it in this community. In as much as we're looking out for buying opportunity, we cannot ignore the potentials that sellers could break through the 1930 that we identified on the higher time frame to incite a sell-off, maybe into that major demand zone at the 1900 area. Now, if sellers are going to take over this market today, What is it that we want to see on this chart that will make us feel comfortable shifting our bias from bullish to bearish? Now, looking at the structure here, I would want to see price take out the support line here at the 1,934, which of course has been negating all attempt by the sellers to break through this area since last week Friday. Now, if price will break down that structure, then a confirmation like a retest of structure will be okay for us to join a decline to the downside. And if price action continues to drop, then retest of the 1,930 will welcome more selling opportunity. But I still hold on to a bullish bias here. But if price breaks down this range, then we have no other choice than to be part of that uptrend move. And to make things easier for us to identify trading opportunities, we have a temporary ascending trend line here, which can help us to feel comfortable in whatever position we have. So if price remains below that trend line, we know that it's good for us to feel comfortable in a buy position. And if price breaks down the trend line, then we could start considering selling. So these are my views on the XAUUSD for today.